You didn't close. Okay, whatever. So, I didn't know what to do. And after that happened, it was never talked about between us, you know, until a couple days, I think it was a couple days later, or about a week later, before I told my parents, actually, like days before I told my parents. I was talking to Austin, and him and I got into a fight, and I was sitting on the porch, and he was crying at me that, you know, like, he just doesn't feel like I'm in this relationship anymore, and I'm constantly ditching him for my friends and everything, because I wanted to go hang out with my friends. And so we got into this fight, and he's like, I don't even know why you're friends with Mila. Like, she was abusive towards you, you know, she hit you, you told me about all of these things that, like, she's done to you, you know, her calling you a hoe, and her calling you a whore, and saying bad stuff to you. And I was like, but how are you different from her when you hit me? And I personally could not believe that just came out of my mouth. I was like, that was when I really realized that was, like, real, you know, like, that it actually happened. And he goes, well, that's different. And I go, but how is it? How are you and Mila any different when she hit me and you hit me? And he was completely stunned that I even brought it up. Like, my heart is racing right now, and he goes, I've been beating myself up about it ever since then, you know. I've been so scared to hug you or anything like that, because I'm just scared, like, that I just can't believe that I hurt you. And I was like, but you don't know how badly you hurt me, because I have been trying so hard not to think about it. And I tried so hard that day not to cry about it. Because I wanted to act like it didn't happen. And so he just left. And he went home that night. And I come in the house, and, you know, my dad's like, I didn't hear anything, I don't think, but he just like, you guys got into another fight? And I was like, yeah, I just don't want to talk about it, you know, I'm just gonna go. And I went to bed. A couple days later, I think it was the weekend when I was talking, yeah, it was, because it was during the day, I was talking to my parents about how I was so confused on what to do. Like, I didn't originally come out with, you know, the whole he hit me thing. I just went, I don't know what to do, because this girl's been, you know, contacting Austin, and actually this is when I just found out that he unblocked her. And this girl's been talking to Austin, and this girl's been, you know, hitting him up, and he hasn't told her once still that he has a girlfriend. And my dad's like, well, he just started giving me advice. I don't remember what he said, but my mom goes, yeah, I remember when your dad, like, did that stuff to me, you know, it was, like, really shady and everything. I was like, yeah, I just don't know what to do. And they started giving me advice, and then all of a sudden, so then our friend Joni comes in, and we're all talking about it, you know, I'm trying to get opinions, I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do. And all of a sudden, I don't know what started it, but all of a sudden Joni goes, well, he hasn't hit you, has he? And I start crying, you know, because I didn't want to tell my family that he hit me because I was still in love with him. Like, I still loved him. Of course, like, I wanted to forget that it happened. And so 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 then my whole family and I start talking about it, and I go, yeah, this is what happened, and I tell them what happened. And that same day my mom goes, text him, he's coming over and you're breaking up with him. So they literally forced me to break up with him, and I didn't, this sounds so stupid, I didn't want to. I thought that, you know, I'm a real big fixer. Like, I think that I can fix any boy that has problems, you know, it's just, I don't know why. So I thought, no, you know, everything will be okay, I'll figure it out. And my parents go, no, you're breaking up with him because he's become a risk to just your well-being at this point. Like, what if he takes it a step farther and he starts hitting you closed hand, or he ends up one day actually putting you in the hospital or killing you? And I didn't want to think about that, you know, because I still thought of Austin as, you know, my boyfriend, you know, like, I loved him and just this amazing guy who just made a mistake. But when they said that, I was completely just stunned. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? So I ended up breaking up with him, and he ended up crying to me about how it was an accident and he just feels so bad about it. And I was like, this hasn't been working for a while now. This hasn't been good for a while now. So I ended it, and the rest of that day I was so sad and upset and depressed, and we just continued having the conversation about it and talking about it. And so we just, you know, continued trying to help me realize that it was a good idea. Even though I knew that it was, I still was upset about it. So I think days later I got into contact with him again. I started texting him again, and we started talking, and he completely blames me for it and constantly tells me that I ruined his life by like ending our relationship, that I was his whole life and all he wants to do now is kill himself, and he's just trying to fight the urge to run his car off a cliff. And he was doing that for months after we broke up, continuously telling me that and everything. And I tried to be friends with him, and it didn't work out because I go to hang out with him to go give him like his dog stuff that we still had in the house, you know, because my mom loved Ellie. She bought stuff for her, and so we were going to give it back to him. And I ended up going to the park that's nearby, and I go, hey, I have all the stuff, like, you know, come get it. And he's like, okay, I'll, you know, see you later and everything. And then it's been about an hour that I was sitting at that park with my brothers, and my parents go, if he doesn't come in 5 minutes, you're coming home. and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe that he's like, you know, not here yet. Like, what's taking him forever? He doesn't live that far away. And I call him several times. I text him multiple times and he's not answering. It's like nothing. And I call him again and I go, I leave a voicemail and I go, what's going on? You know, like, you were supposed to be here a while ago. I still have stuff for you. You said that you were going to be here. And I eventually get a text message that says, I never had any intention of showing up. You need to leave me alone. I'm in Pendleton. I'm not coming. You contact me one more time and I'm going to block you. And that was when I felt so betrayed. Literally, he made me start to feel like I was, you know, that I was stalking him, that I was, you know, like, obsessed with him, you know, and it sucked. So I just blocked him on everything again. I stopped talking to him. And one day he found a way to talk to me, and I unblocked him on most of everything. And we started talking, and then it ended the same way. I blocked him. And we started talking like a week later or something. And that went on for a little bit, like over the past like 4 months that has been going on. And he was making my life hell. Like, I was getting so depressed because of the situation, you know. I didn't want my ex-boyfriend telling me that it's my fault that he wants to kill himself, and then him telling me that I'm stalking him and I'm freaking him out. And it sucked. But while we were blocking and unblocking each other, I was sneaking around to go hang out with him because my parents wouldn't allow me to hang out with him. So they ended up, the most recent time, the last time that him and I were talking, my parents and my brothers left me at home alone, and I'm 16 now, and so I was at home alone, you know, and everything, and we were talking at this point, and it was like, yeah, my parents just left for Portland. So I'm, you know, like, alone at the house. And he was just like, okay, you know, you want to hang out? And I was like, you know what? Sure. So we ended up hanging out, and everything was fine. And my parents didn't know, of course. So then he left after a couple hours, and then I just continued doing my own thing, you know. But he ended up showing up. He ended up asking me if I wanted to hang out, and I said yeah, but I didn't want to like hang out while they were gone. I don't know how to explain it, but he showed up at the house. And he shows up and we walk around. Like, I didn't want to be in the house while they were gone. You know, I didn't want to be alone in the house with him, and so we were walking around town, and we went to the park that's near my house, and we just were hanging out, you know, just like friends, and everything was cool. And then we get back to my house, where he drops me off, and he goes, can I come in? And I was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. you know, like, you should just go home. And he goes, yeah, but like, please, like, I have nothing going on, and, you know, I just haven't been inside in forever, and, you know, I want to see your cat. And I was like, yeah, okay. It's like, okay, whatever, you know, nothing's gonna happen. So we hung out in my house for a while, and everything was, you know, fine. Everything was like it usually was. Like, we were acting like we were together again, and I told him that he should go home. And he goes, come on, you know, just let me stay a little longer. And I was like, no, just go home. And so he was offended and left. So, then later they came home, you know, everything was fine. Austin and I were still continuing to talk. I ended up stopped talking to him. I didn't block him, but like, we just stopped talking so much. And we ended up, one of the days I was at physical therapy, my mom had to get somewhere and she needed to go drop a friend off at the airport, like, really soon. And she didn't think that she'd be able to make it if she stayed for my whole appointment. And so I was like, just go. I have friends in Walla. They can take me home, you know, or take me to the girl that I was going to babysit's son. And so Mom goes, no, I don't want you, you know, I don't want you to be like that. And I was like, no, it's okay, I promise, like, just go. And so she sees me and I start texting Austin. And she's like, why are you in contact with him? You're not supposed to be. Because she didn't know that I was. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like, he can take me to Ashley's. And he's like, and she goes, no, I'm not letting you get in a car with him. And I was just like, just go, because you're just gonna be upset and pissy if you don't make it on time and you don't end up making, and she doesn't end up making her flight. And she ended up staying the whole time, and I didn't end up getting in the car with him, but him and I ended up having a long conversation about how I was trying to convince my mom to let me go back with him, and I know that was a really stupid idea. I was, because I thought that he changed, you know, and if he didn't, I'll just help him through that, you know, like, he still loves me, like, he was telling me that, and I was telling him that I still love him, and I was telling him that I wanted to be with him, and he was telling me that he wanted to be with me. And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, it was Easter, and I'm hanging out with my friends, and he hadn't been talking to me for a while, and I was like, okay, whatever, you know. But literally the night before, he goes, I love you, I still want to be with you, you know, like, I just hope that we can get past this whole situation and we can be together. And I was like, yeah, like, of course I want to be with him. Duh, like, that's such a great idea, you know, like, this will be great. Which was stupid. Really stupid. So, me being me, I decided that was such a great idea. I don't know why. So, Easter, I'm hanging out with my friends. Mila and I had just gotten into another really big fight. Mila and I fight a lot. But it's only because she was upset that I was even talking to Austin, because she wants the best for me, and I understand that now. But before, I was like, psh, I got this under control. Like, I'm not gonna let him use me. I'm not gonna let him, you know, I'm not gonna let him manipulate me. But I was naive. I'm still naive. I've always been naive. So, that's exactly what he was doing. And so Easter, my mom texts me and she goes, "Hey, where are you at?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm over by the school across town, you know, I'm hanging out with Tiffany and everybody." And my mom goes, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Why, what's up?" And I was like, she was just sending me like, the text that she was sending me, I was like, there's something going on. So I call her, and I'm hanging out with them and everything, and I'm laughing, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she goes, I swear, still to this day, swear that she said, "Your brother's trying, guess who is trying to date Maddie?" And Maddie's this girl that's technically a part of my family. Like, my mom and her mom are best friends. They're like part of our family. So at one point, Connor and her, one of my little brothers, who's, how old is he? If I'm 16, he's about to turn 14. So he's 13. I don't remember how old he was when that happened, but him and Maddie were talking, and, you know, they liked each other. At least that's like what everybody saw. And then some other stuff went down, and I'm still upset about it, of course, because my blood, like, he's my youngest brother, and I actually am very protective when it comes to him, because I only want the best for him, you know. So when she tells me, "Guess who's trying to get with Maddie?" Connor goes, oh, let me tell her." "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "You said Connor is trying to get with Maddie, didn't you?" And my mom goes, "No, Austin is." And my heart dropped. I stopped on the sidewalk in the middle of me walking, and I just start bawling. And I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, Austin's been talking to her, saying that you've admitted to lying about him hitting you, that you have been, like, that you're obsessed with him and you won't leave him alone, and that you're just, you know, he just wants nothing to do with you." And I was like, what am I supposed to do? You know, like, how am I supposed to feel? Because, mind you, less than 24 hours ago, he was telling me that he wanted to be with me and he loves me. And I was dumbfounded. I was like, I can't believe this. But, I mean, I should have figured when every time that we ended up hanging out, he always went, "Well, I mean, I don't have to be hanging out with you. There's other girls that I could be hanging out with or being with right now, but, you know, I'd rather be here with you." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks. No, there's nobody else who wants me." That's great to hear, you know? So I was upset about the whole situation, and I'm crying, and the group just continued walking, because I just told them, you know, I stopped, so I didn't expect them to, you know, to stop as well because they had 2 little kids with them, you know. They were going to, Mila was dropping off her niece and nephew for the egg hunt. And I'm bawling and my mom goes, I can come pick you up if you want. And I was like, no, just give me a minute, you know, I'll try to calm down. And she ended up picking me up because I couldn't, Mila and I were already in a fight and I didn't want Mila to have to worry about me. So I just forgot about it. Then I just was done. I was completely done. I texted him and I go, can't believe that you're doing this. What's going on? You know, what did I do that was so wrong? And I still, to this day, blame myself for everything that happened. Of course I do, because it was my fault we broke up. I shouldn't have told my parents in the first place, you know. I should have just, I still have those thoughts of, I shouldn't have said anything. And he would still love me if I didn't say anything. If I didn't say anything to make him mad, he wouldn't have hit me. If I would have been good enough, he wouldn't have moved on, you know? And when we were together, we knew, like, he had hung out with this girl before, all of us, and he said that she was creepy and she freaked him out because she, right in front of me, would straight to my face tell me, like, would just be hitting on him. Like, don't do this. Leave me alone. You know? It was, like, honestly so stupid. So, I didn't know how to feel, you know? And that's when my mom went through Austin and I's conversation for the past while, and he ended up texting me back when I said, I thought you wanted to be with me. I thought you still loved me. And he goes, you're just not good for me. We just need to move on. I just want to see where things go with her. And that made everything so much worse. And that's all he tried to do, and I got so livid. I was so angry, like beyond belief. But of course I was, like, the guy that I'm in love with was moving on. What was I supposed to feel? Okay, you can stay. I only have a little bit left. I'm literally last little bit. So that's when I finally, like, was done with him. Like, I blocked him on everything. He, I think, blocked me on everything. I don't know.
Hey. You wanna go into town?
And we haven't talked since.
Okay. Then I'll go get slushies without you.
And everything has actually been,
I need a pair of socks.
I wouldn't say completely fine, but everything's been getting better. Like, he made it to the point where every time I mess up and, like, my parents get mad at me, or, like, I disappoint anyone or anybody gets upset with me, I feel like I'd be better off just dead at this point. So, because of him, I need extra help. which is always a fun thing to have. But I think that everything is getting better, and everything will get better, and I think that the past should stay in the past, and he's my past. And I think that, honestly, if I or he was to ever see this video, if he was to see this video or I was to see him in person, I think that I would want to, I just want him to know that I'm upset that everything went down the way that it did, and that I'm just thankful that, I'm partially thankful that everything happened, because it just has been teaching me that I deserve better, and that he's just helped me move forward and have a brighter future in a way. So I'm done, you know, I'm done with him manipulating my life and him getting me to such a low point that I think that the only way that I'd be happy is with him, because the only way that I'll be happy is if I'm okay with me. Mommy?
You need socks or shoes. Why do you need shoes? What?
I need to turn it off.
Okay, we're going into town.
There's one last thing that I want to say. I want to say that we were all deceived by him being a good person, and I think that anybody else will be too. It was a front, and he would have gotten away with it if I wouldn't have said anything. So I think part of me doesn't regret saying something, but part of me regrets letting him manipulate me for so long after the fact. So I think that at one point he might have loved me, but I think that the end of our relationship he didn't anymore, and I think that after our relationship he didn't at all. And I think that it should be spoken out, and I know that it's harder than it, you know, it's easier said than done, because I've went through that. I mean, of course I haven't had the whole, you know, beating wife experience, but no matter what, it's hard. So I think that if anybody is feeling like this, or you notice anything like that, like, you should be there for your friend or your sister or your anything, like anyone who's around you, be there for them, because it's hard to let go when you're so deep into something. And I think that he should get some help. Everybody who goes through this should. Because I'm not going to lie, I think that he'll probably do it again.